Look what just arrived. It is the Artisan Tarot. I think it's kind of cool. They have a Discord chat room. That's kind of cool, the Artisan Tarot. You can find them on artisantarot.com. And here we go. So we have the Artisan Tarot on Instagram, and then we have the artisantarot.com. So cool. So it says Nicolas Conver. So I assume we're looking at a Nicolas Conver restoration of the 1760 TDM. Hey, that works for me. There's a few of these, right? What the Yves Renaud version, I think, is kind of one of the classics there. But obviously, there's many versions of this, and I'm assuming this is what this is. So let's open it up and take a look. Now, if you know me and you've been on the channel for longer than 5 minutes, you know I am a big TDM fan, and I'm hoping this is going to be everything that I want in a Nicolas Conver restoration, quite frankly, because that would be amazing. So thank you for the Artisan Tarot and William for sending me this review copy. Now, this is on Kickstarter. Link in the description if you are into TDMs like me. And you want to see this on Kickstarter, there's a link in the description to go through that. So let's get this nice and tight focus, get in close on here. Ooh, I like it already. I like the box. It's kind of cute. Standard tuck box and cards within. So let's take a look. Nothing else in the box. And this is a prototype, I assume. So yeah, so you get a blank card that comes with it. And then we, ooh, that's nice. That is kind of cool. Ooh, that's nice indeed. I guess we got some extras. It always works. All right, a Tarot de Marseille, a faithful restoration based upon the tarot printed in Marseille by Nicolas Conver in 1760. It is indeed hand restored and adapted with Krisztin Kondor, guidance from William Rader, or William Rader. I don't know. Let me know. First edition review deck. So the first thing we want to look for is card thickness. How thick are the cards? There's the back of the cards. Obviously, you saw in the box. Comes out to here. So about standard thickness, was this 310? Let me know. I'm kind of curious about the thickness if it is 310. So let's I don't know. Are these out of order? I'm not sure what is going on here, but let's go to the first. Let's go to the, these are way out of order. Okay, let's pause the video. I'll put them in order and then we will do a flip through. All right, now that we're zoomed in nice and tight, let's look at La Mat. Pretty traditional there. There's a lot of variances in this. One is where the pants are ripped. The dog or the creature or whatnot is chasing this person out of town. So it is a traditional fool and whatnot. Other variations say that it's his companion. Other variations says it's attacking him. Again, this is why TDM is so interesting. Just this expression on the magician as well. Looks like a really good restoration. This looks pretty good so far. Like if this was a TDM, I know it's a review copy and I'm going to be biased, but this is a good looking TDM. You know, I mean, there's some restorations that have some controversial parts about them. I don't see anything controversial so far. We'll see. But yeah, pretty traditional as far as it goes, which I like. We have the Popess, who was disgraced when she was discovered. All right, the Empress. Pretty traditional as well. Love the expression on the Empress always. Emperor with the same sort of crest, a little bit different, holding the cross. And we have the Pope. The Pope with the monks in the worshiping position, and the Pope giving guidance or whatever with the sign. We have the Lovers, which is controversial due to the third party, point to the third party situation possibly, or maybe a parent of the lady. All sorts of deep integrated meanings of these things as we sort of go along. And that's the good part about a TDM. You can have a lot of variances. So when you do have a TDM, again, you have this fine balance between I need to maintain the integrity of the source material, but I also want to innovate. I want to make it something. I want to make it crisp and clear and vibrant and something that people want to read with, right? If you're into the TDM, as I am. So that's one of the big things here. Justice, very, very cool. Pretty traditional as far as that goes. I like how it's not really threaded through here. I think that's interesting. Not really threaded through there, right? It's one thing. It looks like it's just hanging in midair almost because it's not threaded through. You know what I mean? Anyway, we have the Hermit. I love the dark green, desaturated green and blue there. And we have the Fortune, the Wheel of Fortune with the creatures on it. All sorts of wild meanings to that too. If you look in some of the source material books, we have La Force with the Strength controlling the lion and whatnot. And then we have the Hanged Man with the maybe Enlightenment. No Enlightenment halo over here like you have in the Rider-Waite, but you do have sort of that expression, the hands tied behind the back and whatnot. Then you have sort of the reversed things on here with the two different sides, right? Two different aspects as far as color goes. I love sort of that representation with that. And then the loose fitting noose, right? Well, I don't know, noose. The loose fitting tie we have here where you could easily slip out, but you're hanging there on purpose. Then we have Death with the separated hands and feet. By the way, if you haven't read any historical books on the Crusades, kind of grim for a review, but there was a story in one of the Crusades books that I read where they talked about the hands and feet were severed. They had piles that were so high that you couldn't ride a wagon through it or a horse through it because it was so high. Anyway, traditionally, obviously punishment for cutting off your limbs and whatnot. Anyway, kind of gruesome for review, but in case you wonder where the source material comes from. Anyway, Temperance, again, very traditional and cool. Just the colors are so muted, but pretty at the same time. Muted, but pretty. I like that. That's kind of what you have to do, right? If you go full saturation, if you oversaturate, if you just make it just eye-bleeding bad or vibrant, it just is not good. And this just has that mellowness and that calmness to it. I really like it. Oh, the devil himself gripping. I always think it's funny, like just gripping the cushion or gripping where they're standing so hard is sort of wrinkling and whatnot. Always all these interesting things that you can see throughout a TDM as you sort of go through it. And then we have the tower. Oh, that's interesting, just how close they are to the ground. That is interesting, just how close they are to the ground. In other words, they've been falling for a while, right? It's just not something where they just fell out of the window. They've been falling for a while. They're about to impact the ground. Almost looks like a dance. I know there was one book that talked about, are these people celebrating or are they dancing or something like that? But I don't, I'm not going to get into that. I don't know. There are many TDM translations, many TDM type of restorations, and you do what you do with your restoration. I love the La Luna. Oh, it's so pretty, so pretty. And the towers are just great detail in those, a little bit shorter than the Rider-Waite and whatnot. And the star, of course, is always amazing. And then we have the sun. Interesting. Sun is interesting indeed. So we have two people sort of anguished almost at the bottom. I like it. Then we have the Judgment, the rebirth, the reincarnation. I think it's interesting that you have sort of the bald head look coming from that, almost like the monk back in the Hierophant. So yeah. Then you have the flag and whatnot, all the representation of there. And then Le Monde with all of the stuff going on in the corners. So there we go. All right, now we'll go into the wands with the ace. Pretty traditional as far as that goes. Got the 2, the 3, 4. Very pretty, very pretty. Very good. Again, nice and muted, but vibrant at the same time. I love the saturation. When you're restoring something, it's so tempting to get the saturation and just jack it to max. You know what I mean? You're like, all right, this is the only colors you're going to get. Let's jack the saturation. But again, kept it down, kept it muted. I love it. I like it a lot. And then we have the 7, the 8, the 9, and the 10. And now we get into the courts, my friend, our first court card with the valet or the valet. Okay, so yeah, kind of holding on, not really knowing what's going on, just sort of halfway there. We have the Knight as he comes in there with a commanding presence, as all knights do. We do have the harness, and I forgot what that's called. But anyway, we do have that. In some, I think in some restorations or in some versions, you don't have that. Anyway, we got the Queen. Very majestic. I love the long hair on the Queen. Not a lot of decks will just have long flowing hair like that. I just love that. Anyway, then we have the King. So there we go. The King, very, very majestic with the hats and whatnot. Now we're going into the swords with the penetration into the higher heavens. Penetration into that. Penetrating the crown of Kether. Is it Kether? Yeah, crown of Kether. All right. We have the 2. The 3, the 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. There we go. On to more courts. We got the valet. That's so cool. Sort of looking at something, distracted by something. They've withdrawn the sword, but they're just looking and distracted. That's such an interesting thing, right? That's why I love reading with this too. There's so many little things within the deck, right? So you pull this for somebody and you're like, you are indeed distracted by something. You're prepared for anything, but you're just distracted. It's almost like you're not focused on what needs to be focused on, right? Man, I'm going to love reading with this. I tell you, I'm going to love reading with this. Then you have the very determined and expedited Cavalier. We have the Queen. Again, just that solemn look on her face. Very concerned, sort of holding onto her stomach. You kind of wonder if she's pregnant, right? Just sort of the hand position and whatnot. Is she pregnant? And then we go on to the King. And the King, again, everybody has their swords drawn. The King has a sort of a perfectly, perpendicular up and down, whatever. The Queen has a little bit of an angle. I guess it's a little bit of an angle. I mean, I don't know. Anyway, but he has 2 weapons. Again, he seems to be getting out of his seat, right? Kind of like that. I think it was the Michelangelo statue. I was in Florence. The Moses, where it looks like Moses is literally getting out of the seat. It's a statue. Anyway, beautiful, beautiful stuff. All right, now we're going into the cups. Beautiful, beautiful ace. I love it. We have the 2. Very kind of cool indeed. We have the 3. The 4. 5. 6. 7. 8. 9, and 10. Now we're going into the valet again. And again, obviously no fish and whatnot. We have what could be the cup, looks like a cup lid or some other object, sort of walking, we're moving. And this is one of the few pages that is actually moving, right? They're going somewhere. They have a destination. They have something that they're doing. And, focusing on the cup, focusing on that. No fish, obviously, like in the Rider-Waite and whatnot. And then we have the Cavalier, pretty much the, pretty traditional, again, with the extreme focus on the actual cup. And then the Queen with a more decorative cup and then holding the sword and whatnot. And an extreme angle, and then the King. Again, all the kings just look like they're ready to get up. They look like they're seated, but they are literally getting up. I mean, they're getting up. They're not going to just sit there and just be there and be present. They're ready to go. All right, now we got the 2 of Pentacles coming up, the most exciting card in the deck. I'm anxious to see how we did that one. All right, yes, there we go. Let's take a look at it. Let's get that. Let's make sure it is in focus. In focus, we have a Conver. There we go. 1760, my friends. 1760. Normally, this is where we would put Artisan Tarot. Normally, this is where we would do that. I guess they didn't want to. But a lot of times we'll put they'll put the name, they'll put the artist, the conversion company or whatnot will be on there with the logo. They just went with, Conver 1760. Let's go. We got the 3 and the 4. Ooh, love the shield. Love the shield. So cool. And the 5. Then we got the 6 and the 7, the 8, the 9, and the 10. So cool. So good. So good. All right. Now we have the valet once more, again, with a very focused look at the pentacles. It's interesting that there's one in his feet as well. It almost looks like you have a little shadow lines or motion lines going with that. And that very awkward hand position. He's just holding it up. In other words, he wants us to see the whole thing. He doesn't want to cover any of it with his finger. He wants to have the entire thing displayed. Very important to him for display purposes, right? Then we have the Knight, again, with it in the air, which again means sort of an uncontrolled, we don't really have control over it, but we're focused on it. And then we have the Queen, again, not covering any part of the pentacle with her hand. We want to see the entire thing, very focused on that. And finally, the King, who does have some of it, covered. And the King does look a little more seated, a little more back into the seat with the crossed legs and the distracted look as well. Anyway, beautiful deck. Beautiful deck. Again, here we go. A faithful restoration based upon the tarot printed in Marseille by Nicolas Conver in 1760, William Rader and Krisztin Kondor. First edition. All right, this is the review copy. Again, I got this for free. Link in the description for the Kickstarter. Let me know what you think. For a TDM, this is pretty tight. Love the colors. I love the representation. I love the balance between restoration and what we're going to do to make it unique. And I think that we have a great deck. We have a good deck of cards, decent card stock. I think it's 310. I will write them. I'll put it in the description if it's 310 or 330. I'm not really sure what it is. Anyway, thank you for watching. Let me know what you think of the Artisan Tarot. We'll see you next time.